Hello everyone, I'm Jesse Krull. Welcome to Tommy Media's The Locker Room. Coming off its first conference loss in 27 games, St. Thomas football looks to redeem itself on homecoming against Carleton Saturday. Carleton brings a 2-1 overall record to O'Shaughnessy Stadium. It's 1-1 in conference play after a 58-14 loss to Bethel last week. Last year, the Tommies defeated the Knights 47-24. I'm joined today by Coach Glenn Caruso and wide receiver Dan Ferrazzo. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here.
Thanks
Coach,
for having me.
as I mentioned before, you guys are coming off the bye week. Was the bye week good timing or bad timing for the Tommies?
Well, there's never, I don't think, a great time for a bye week when you look at trying to stay in the rhythm of a season. So there were several things that we had to get cleaned up, as I think is abundantly clear to everybody, and that was good. It was also good in terms of a little bit of health, but as always, you want to try and hit a rhythm and just get back on the field and try and continue to move forward, no matter what the situation is. Ours have tended to be earlier in the season, so we've dealt with them the same way for the last couple of years, and we've made the most out of it, no doubt, but we're pretty excited to get back on the field Saturday.
Dan, Carleton gave up 540 yards. What part of the defense do you look to take advantage of?
Well, you know, I think the biggest thing with us right now is just taking advantage of the bye week practices we had. No matter how many yards they're giving up a game, none of that really matters. We're just going to go out there and try to play our game and let the rest take care of itself.
Coach, as I noted before, Carleton lost last week, but they have a 2-1 record. Obviously, the positives weren't as easy to see last week, but what would you say are the positives?
Well, we talked about this with other teams. They're in year 2 of a new coaching staff, and I think Coach Pagel and those guys down there have done a great job setting a foundation in year 1. And I'm always real intrigued to see how the program grows in year 2. And as you look, you can tell that their confidence is starting to blossom. Obviously, they had a very tough game versus a really good Bethel team on a really miserable weather day. But you can start to see the schemes kind of take root. You can see the confidence continue to grow. And where they are, I know that Coach Pagel wants to continue to grow that program. But I think that's probably the best thing that I see out of them, is they're not trying to feel their way out, they're playing their game. And as Dan just alluded to, really, as coaches and as players, that's all we're trying to do. I think most coaches anyway, is just play your game.
Dan, you're not only a wide receiver on the team, but you're also a PAT holder. Usually that position's for a backup quarterback or the punter. How did you get that spot, and what are the good things and bad things about it?
I held field goals in high school, and so I had a little bit of experience. And a former receiver for us, Ricky Marguerite, he was a senior when I was a freshman, and he kind of showed me the ropes and showed me how it's done. And I'd say my favorite part is probably the fakes, obviously, but just being part of you know, if I'm out there on offense, I'm there for 6 points, and then just being part for that 7th point. It's such a huge point. And then the worst part is probably when something screws up in the operation. And, you know, you're kind of the ones that everyone looks at, but there's always room for improvement.
And now it's time for this week's fan question. Coach, sophomore Nick Loth wants to know, who is the one person that inspired you to be a coach?
Good question. There's a lot of people, but if you're going to ask one, I'd have to say it's my father. He's inspired me to do just about everything that I do nowadays when it comes to trying to grow people and raise our family and raise our football team. And when I was younger, I wanted to be like him so much, I was ready to become a lawyer and went to school thinking that's what I was going to do. So a lot of people that have helped. Certainly it starts with our family, but it all comes back to my dad. And he's the one that literally said, why don't you get in your car and go try coaching? I wasn't even thinking about it until he said that when I was a senior in college, and thank goodness that he did.
Well, he did a great job, and good luck this Saturday.
Appreciate that.
If you have a question, tweet it to @TommyMedia. Be sure to check TommyMedia.com for the latest campus news. Thank you for tuning in. With Coach Glenn Caruso and Dan Ferrazzo, I'm Jesse Krull. We'll see you next time in The Locker Room.